Hello, hello, beautiful. It is. Hello, beautiful people. It's great to be back with you. It looks like there was a little bit of a streaming update, maybe that happened there in the background. Hopefully, everything is going smoothly. If you're with me live, I forgot to put my microphone on before we got started, so I just did that. So hopefully, the sound quality is exactly what we need it to be. And if you're with me live, you know how it goes. Please do drop your city in the chat. I want to make sure I know who is here live and I know who is getting this experience and riding with me today. So I would appreciate it if you would just drop your city in the chat. Welcome back for those who have been riding with us for a while, and for those who may be new to this platform and this experience. I am excited that you decided to spend your time with me today. So we are live on YouTube as well as on LinkedIn, and also the replay is available about 24 hours after we record these. We make them available on LinkedIn, and the YouTube channel is available like less than an hour after we record these. So if you are wanting to share or distribute this to people who are like unavailable to join me live, don't hesitate to go ahead and drop the replay link in their inbox, in their text messages, so that they can get an opportunity to access this content also. And it is the highest compliment when we get referrals, when we hear from individuals that said, somebody introduced me to your podcast, somebody introduced me to your LinkedIn Live, and I have been listening since then. Do you see me? Like, I heart those people who do that sharing, because it means the world to me that what we're doing here at Career Gems for the Journey means so much to you that you want to distribute it and share it with other people. So that's that. I want to make sure that we get right into it today, and I'm going to save normally my regular housekeeping for the end, because there are some exciting things happening, and I want you to stay with me the whole time. And then maybe you'll hang around for the very end of the live, because we have some exciting things that are happening. As you guys know, I'm working on some amazing things in the background, but I want to make sure we get to the live first, because this has been really resonating with me for a little bit. So I want to make sure I get this out. I get to work with amazing people on a consistent basis. I work with some of the most amazing powerhouse capable individuals on a consistent basis. And I, being their executive coach, get to hear the side of them that is more vulnerable, that is more intentional about thinking through their external perceptions, as well as the strategic way that they want to manage their career. So I get to be with people at a time when they are building something that maybe others haven't seen, or when they are acknowledging parts of themselves that is necessary work in order for them to continue to grow and develop. And sometimes those coaching and one-on-one relationships end up being 6 months, sometimes a year. I've had them go as long as 3 years. So just suffice to say that I get to have a very intimate, connected relationship with my clients, which I absolutely love. And it also just provides me a perspective, even when I'm thinking about something and I am able to bump it up against ideas or concepts that maybe are happening in other organizations. So let me just give you a quick example. I had a client who works in a multi-million-dollar industry. Industry is, growing, it's global, and they are navigating leaving one company and transitioning into another company. So as I'm talking to my client, they are talking to me about their new job and how excited they are about all of the things that their new job encompasses, because it's the best parts of the old job that they had and some new things added on. So in navigating this new opportunity, they're excited because it's kind of a sweet spot that they didn't realize existed in the industry that they're in. And what it taught me was there were lots of things in her old job that she liked, that she enjoyed. And she didn't want to do those things necessarily anymore. She was looking for growth, but doing those things helped her to be a good candidate for this new job. And what it really reminds me of is oftentimes we are looking to move on to the new thing, and we are excited and we are ambitious. And when I say we, I'm talking about me right here today and many of you who are listening, because we have some patterns, right? We have some things that we have in common. So when I talk to most of my clients who are capable powerhouse individuals, they are ambitious and they are pursuing success as they've defined it. But the thing that comes up for this story for my client is all of those things that she didn't enjoy in her old job that now have gone away. But the best parts of her old job are in this new organization that she's in. And she's excited and thrilled and looking forward to doing the work now for this organization. And what it rung to me so clearly was there's no such thing as wasted time when you're playing the long game on your career. There's just no such thing as wasted time when you're playing the long game on your career. Because had she been frustrated about the parts of her job that she didn't love and opted out of it or transitioned or done something sooner than she was ready, that would have had a ripple effect on this opportunity to get the job that she's in right now. Now, I believe that all of these things happen for an opportunity for us to grow and for us to learn. But I think oftentimes we are frustrated and on timelines that are driven by things that are so far out of our control that we feel like we're wasting time. And I think wasted time is a misconception. I think it's something that often stresses us and can be a source of burnout because when we start to tell ourselves, I should be here by now, I should be there by now, this should have happened by now, that's when we start to either get really frustrated and that frustration gets channeled, and where it gets channeled is different for each person, or that's when we start to feel like we need to hurry up, we need to be more hasty, we need to start making decisions faster, and we need to start turning and turning up the heat on what we're looking for. And potentially that can lead to desperation. So either you're frustrated or you're feeling desperate in this scenario when we are focused only on a timeline that is not driven by things that are all in our control. So I wanted to go through 3 things that I want to make sure we think about as we're in our current place, our current assignment, whatever that current assignment is. It's not a wasted time if you learn something new about yourself. It's never a waste of time if you're in an environment where you're learning something new about yourself, you're enhancing your skills, you're sharpening your understanding, you're perfecting your craft. It's never a waste of time when those things are happening. So look for opportunities to do those things, whatever space you're in right now, to sharpen your craft, to learn more about yourself, to go deeper in certain areas, focus on depth rather than breadth while you're in this season. So it's never a waste of time if you're learning something new about yourself. It's also never a waste of time if you are making new connections and building relationships. If your network is growing or your network is deepening or the relationships you already have are richer and better informed, or your access to information has improved significantly during the time that you're in a role, it wasn't a waste of time. So as we're thinking about this timeline and lots of young people in career and people who are, well tenured in their career have this risk of focusing more on the time than they are on what they're able to do and how they're able to grow during the time. So using this opportunity to be able to grow, perfect your craft, sharpen your skills, sharpen your own relationships, deepen your connections with your peers, deepen your connections with your direct reports, spending the time for you to actually be able to grow in the season will relieve some of that time clock frustration. Now, I'm not saying that you don't state your desires, and I'm not saying that you don't pursue those desires. I'm saying sometimes we have to take the time clock off the table as the biggest driver for risk of frustration and desperation. And I see a lot of desperation in situations where there is comparison happening between you and your peers, or you and maybe classmates, you and friends you went to college with. And I have absolutely seen it in my own experience. How long before, right? And those are the kind of questions that I would ask myself in my own business, right? It got me to the point where I was not willing to be patient enough to be able to grow at a rate that was sustainable, right? Early in my business. So thankfully, the realization comes of you're not wasting time. You are investing that time and energy in your own growth, in your own development, in your own career. So oftentimes we are exactly where we're supposed to be. And unfortunately, this external perception or the narrative or marketing or all of the things that kind of influence us on a regular basis compel us to behave in a way that makes it seem like we don't have enough time or we're behind where we're supposed to be. And I want to encourage you today, you are exactly where you're supposed to be in your career, in your business, in your personal life, in your professional pursuits. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And when you take off the pressure of time by a certain deadline, it allows you to be able to think more clearly. It allows you to be able to live in the moment a little bit longer. It also allows you to be more engaged in the work that you're doing and potentially enjoy it more. So sometimes this idea of being in a rush and not having enough time or telling ourselves where we should be robs us of the opportunity to really live fully into where we are right now. And I want to tell you that rigid timelines, and I mean rigid, like, 18 months, we're supposed to do this, 2 years, we're supposed to do that. It may invite in that desperation and frustration. Giving yourself a little bit of fluidity to be able to rise to the occasion, to be able to meet the moment, to have the right people and places people and opportunities come into place while you are focusing on developing yourself, growing in the space you're in, getting rooted where you're planted, will remove some of this overwhelming anxiety that I'm noticing lots of folks are feeling. When the job market gets tighter, when the economy is more compromised, giving yourself time to be able to adjust to the new factors that are operating in the environment will allow you to have some peace of mind, a slightly less sharp way of talking to yourself as you're thinking about what's next. So I want to encourage you to, instead of focusing on the time and focusing on not being where you should be, to focus on embracing the journey. And you guys know we're here for a journey. We are Career Gems for the journey. Embrace the full journey. Even when it feels like it doesn't make sense and it doesn't align to your timeline, you may be able to look back years later and say, that was exactly what I needed in order to get to where I am today. So I encourage you to embrace the journey. And if that feels a little bit too up in the sky, then I also encourage you to seek some wise counsel. I encourage you to tap into people in your network, tap into mentors, advisors, coaches who've been where you are and who are in places that you aspire to be or have been, and to seek the wise counsel just to calibrate against this risk of a rigid timeline. So does it mean that you don't have goals? It doesn't mean that you don't have aspirations. It doesn't mean that you don't have a 5-year plan. It's the porousness, right? It's the not having a rigid barrier, not having a timeline that's built out of steel, having a timeline that's built out of mesh, or having a timeline that's built out of a crochet net. Thinking of the timeline as a factor amongst many, many, many other factors will give you the opportunity to not feel desperate and not put yourself at risk to make desperate decisions that are not going to be against your long-term benefit or your long-term goals. And I'm going to tell you, companies recognize when you're desperate. Companies recognize when you're desperate, and they will use that against you oftentimes. And I want to encourage you to think about, I don't want to put myself in a place to be desperate or to be taken advantage of. And I also don't want to have self-talk where I am damaging myself because I haven't hit whatever that rigid steel timeline. If you have a porous timeline that is more like crochet or more like a knitted sweater than it is a steel box, it gives you the opportunity to be in the moment and to grow in the moment, to thrive where you are until that next opportunity presents itself, or until you build that next opportunity for yourself. So it's something that has been really ringing true to me. And that's for a number of reasons, both professional in my corporate experience and in my entrepreneurial and business experience. There is no such thing as wasted time. Not when you're growing, not when you're developing, not when you're learning, not when you're building richer, deeper relationships, not when you're building brand new connections that will serve you later on in the future. There's no such thing as wasted time for most of us, most of the time. And if we can get ourselves to a place where we're not desperate and we're not watching the clock, then that can take away that sharpness, the risk of anxiety, the risk of desperation, the risk of hasty decision making that then makes you vulnerable and at risk to someone else recognizing that desperation and then taking advantage of you being in a compromised place. I wish that we would treat people who are vulnerable as a way, as an intention of protecting them. I wish that was the way the world worked. And in some places it is, but in some places it's not. And certainly in the workplace, that's necessarily not the way that it goes. So if you can do the internal work to think about time and your timeline being something that is porous, that is fluid, that will evolve once new factors and new inputs come in, it will give you the opportunity to avoid some of the compromising risks that come along with, I got to do it now. If it doesn't happen in the next 6 months, 9 months, 10 months, 2 years, then I'm just going to ... fill in the blank. So I want to encourage you. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. We are all exactly where we're supposed to be. And if you're feeling uncomfortable about where you are, or you're feeling like you need to shift and change, I want to encourage you to embrace the journey, to live in the moment. And if you're still not in a place where that feels possible or accessible, I want to encourage you to seek wise counsel, to connect with people in places that are going to allow you to have better context for how life goes, how your experience could look, how your experience is different from someone else's, and all the reasons it could be. Now, that might not turn off the clock in the background, but it will certainly give you context. And sometimes when we're in the midst of it and only our timeline is what we see, the context gets lost. The broader impact sometimes can fall to the wayside. So I just want to bring that back up to our remembrance, especially right now when there are so many factors and variables that are out of control, unprecedented, not tied to what we understand to be a reality that we're operating in, not something that we could have prepared for. All of those kinds of feelings, I know that those feelings are out there. I know that all the changes that are happening in the last, I don't know, 60 days, less than that, have been disarming. And if you continue to keep a rigid timeline that is made of steel on yourself when these factors are very, very, very much out of your control, out of my control, out of most people's control, except for those who are in those decision-making seats, it's going to do you harm. It's going to do you harm if you want to keep the timeline that you originally had, agnostic of the factors that are changing right before our eyes. So I wanted to give you that opportunity just to sit with me in that. And I'm talking to myself also as I am talking to you. I'm encouraging myself to be more fluid and be more adaptable in this season, in this stage, not only of my life, but in the country that I live in and in the administration that I'm operating under. I have to be more fluid because things are going to continue to change. So to that end, I wanted to share this at the very end because I wanted those who hung out with me all the way through to get the benefit of this. If you are a federal worker, if you are a civil servant, if you are navigating any of these spaces and you are feeling a direct impact to the work that you do or your ability to maintain your employment, and there is something that you believe I can do to help, I want to offer to help and support you. I also want to offer, if you are looking to translate the skills that you have now into skills that are going to be applicable in other sectors or in other part of private sector or other public works, nonprofit works, whatever that is, if I can help you to do that work, to translate your skills in a forum that is going to allow you to seek opportunities elsewhere, I want to offer that to you. So I want to offer that to you beginning in April of 2025. If you are a federal worker or you're in any civil servant or a government employee, I want to make sure that I give you an opportunity to reach out to me, slide into my DMs, let me know what you're looking for and what you're looking to do, and leave me a message, really just outlining for me how I can support you in helping to translate your skills into other areas and other arenas. I want to do that work pro bono, and it's specifically for federal workers or those who are coming from government roles and making really stark transitions from where they were before. I think that it is necessary for those of us who have the ability to help and support while we're navigating the noise. If there's some support I can provide, please do reach out. So beginning April 1st, slide into my DMs. I would love to help and support you. My team and I will do the very best we can to help translate your skill sets and give you feedback on what could be a good experience for you as you navigate looking at other sectors. So beginning April 1st, hit us up. And lastly, there was a contest that went out to our newsletter community. Now, if you're not in our newsletter community, this is why you should be in our newsletter community, because we are literally doing amazing things there. They get the information first, and they get lots of unique opportunities because they're a member of the Career Gems for the Journey community. So there's a contest that's happening right now. If you're a member of the Career Gems for the Journey newsletter, you can join the newsletter today if you go ahead to our website at gemsforthejourney.org. You'll get a pop-up. You'll drop your email in the box. You'll start getting a newsletter distributed to you on a monthly basis. That newsletter is curated. It's chock full of valuable gems that we've intentionally put together specifically for that newsletter community, and it's not going out anywhere else. Often that content is very exclusive to the newsletter. So go ahead and head over, join our newsletter, take advantage of the opportunity to have curated gems coming to your inbox on a monthly basis, and we will absolutely see you guys soon. We are just 11 days from the Career and Care Summit. And I am excited and terrified. I'm consistent with mine. I am excited and terrified. I'm so excited because what we're going to produce for the Career and Care Summit is going to be tremendous for everybody who chooses to join us in person. And we have over 85 people who are going to join us right now. We just have a few tickets left. To be honest, I think we have 11 tickets left. So if you were thinking about joining us in person, go ahead and take advantage. Grab your ticket right now. Right now. 11 tickets left, and there's a ton that's happening on our marketing team right now, and I don't know how long those tickets will last. I do believe the event will sell out ahead of March 15th, and I want you to be there if you desire to be in the room. We are going to have fire speakers. We have added Jatea Jones, our clarity coach, to our lineup. We have Dr. Sophia Lubin, who is a phenomenal OBGYN. I'm not going to try to name all the speakers because I'm going to forget somebody and they're going to be upset, and I don't want that for me. I want you to come and join us in person. You can find out more information about the event at gemsforthejourney.org/events, and you can take full advantage of joining us in person at the Career and Care Summit on March 15th. We're just 11 days away, and we're 11 days away, and there's only 11 tickets left. That's amazing, actually. So I'm excited to do that. I am going to take a long break after the summit. As you guys know, we've been doing this work for months now, and I'm going to take a nice long break after the summit, but I'll be back. I'll be back sometime at the end of March or early April, just to really recap and be able to vibe with you guys about the experience. But in between now and then, I'm going to take my own advice. I'm going to take good care of myself, and I'm going to take a nice long rest after we're done with the summit. And I look forward to seeing you all on the other side. And until then, thank you so much for riding with us. And I will see you in person at the Career and Care Summit, March 15th, 2025, if you're going to join us. If not, I will see you back on LinkedIn Live and on YouTube at the end of March. Until then, take care, all. Make your journey work for you.